Hi guys, in this episode of Plummy's Thoughts On, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on the new episodes of Fear the Walking Dead. Hi guys, in this episode of Plummy's Thoughts On, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on episode 9 of the 7th season of one of my favorite shows ever, Fear the Walking Dead. And yeah, even though 2 episodes of Fear the Walking Dead were released at the same time, I'm gonna be doing them separately because, so far the season has been again in this anthology format, and if the season has done it in such a way where each episode is a story for a certain character, I kind of want my reviews to kind of show that as well. So I'm gonna stick to the episode review instead of just doing 2 at the same time, even though a lot of the things that I want to say about both of these episodes are probably gonna be very much interchangeable. But yeah. Though, as usual, I do have to get a few things out of the way in regards to people's opinions of this episode, because it's never an episode of Fear the Walking Dead if there's not a bunch of whiny babies complaining about stupid shit. And there is specifically certain stupid shit that I really want to talk about, but that is in regards to episode 10. So you're gonna have to stick for the upload of the review of the next episode. For this episode, the main thing that I want to talk about in regards to the whining is the fact that it just continues to infuriate me how people cannot describe an episode in any other way other than bad or good. Like, for those people, it's fucking black and white. And it's super annoying. Because it's not. It's just not. There's multitude of ways an episode can be good or bad, thus multiple ways you can describe it. And I just refuse to agree or even want to discuss it with anybody who tries to tell me that these episodes are bad. Because they're fucking not. They're just not. Because there's a clear idea behind the episode and what the writers want to do. There's a clear through line through the episode of them trying to achieve it, and there's the end of the episode where they do achieve it. Now, you can certainly argue about whether the content of the episode is necessarily entertaining enough or whether the execution is good enough, but on that basis alone, it's not bad. For me to say an episode is bad, it has to be super annoying and not make any sense. Like, genuinely, however boring episodes of season 7 of Fear the Walking Dead could be, and we definitely had some boring episodes. I would definitely call episodes 9 and 10 kind of boring. They are definitely good episodes, you know? And they're for sure better than a lot of the episodes of the final season of the main show, because I have a lot more inconsistencies. I think there's a lot more inconsistencies to those episodes compared to the episodes of Fear the Walking Dead. So I guess maybe what I'm trying to say is I feel like these episodes might not be the best, but at least they're like consistent quality, and a quality which is satisfying enough for me. It's not like I think these episodes are amazing or anything. I definitely enjoyed episode 9 overall. I do think it was a little slow and it was kind of felt like it was wasting my time, like 3/4 of the way in, but overall I enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't necessarily a bad episode. Sure, it wasn't necessarily exciting, it didn't necessarily play into what the story of the season is. It was essentially kind of like a bottle episode. Even for this season, it was very much a bottle episode because it didn't pick up from where we left off last episode, and it didn't really build that storyline. It just kind of created this bubble that we needed to deal with, and then we kind of returned to the main plot with episode 10. And I can definitely understand some people being frustrated by that. Like, I can understand being frustrated with the direction of the episode and what it was trying to deal with, but that is not what people are talking about. All I see people talking about is how bad this episode is and how the showrunners have ruined the show again, even though there's legitimately nothing different between season 7 and season 6. If you think season 6 was good, then season 7 also must be good. There's just no way to argue otherwise because there's no difference. It's being executed in the same way. I'd argue in some ways season 7 is better. It's more consistent. Because due to COVID, season 6 felt much more inconsistent at times. Well, I've not really felt that kind of inconsistency with season 7, in my opinion. Sure, I would definitely argue that season 6 was a little bit more exciting, but I've still like really enjoyed the setting of season 7 with like the post-nuke environments and everything. It's been really cool. And if nothing else, you should fucking give props to this show for doing that. Like, come the fuck on. If you cannot acknowledge the positives of something, you have no fucking right to call out the negatives, okay? I'm just gonna say that. If you cannot see the good, you cannot complain about the bad. And vice versa. But yeah, I guess we should kind of get into more specifics in regards to this episode and what I enjoyed about it. I mean, as usual, I did enjoy the visuals. I for sure, honestly, I'm just gonna go out and say it. Fear the Walking Dead is the better looking show compared to the main show. I'm sorry. It's just a fact. And I'm really curious to see where all the other spin-offs are gonna stand in terms of their visuals. Because Fear the Walking Dead, I mean, last season looked pretty good. Much more refreshing compared to season 4 and 5, which I don't really think they were that great. Or at least, I mean, I haven't seen them much, so I really can't judge it. But season 6, I liked how it looked, and I love the visuals of season 7. Like, the color correction and color grading and everything looks so fucking good. It looks so fucking good. Compared to the main show, it's fucking amazing. Like, the main show looks garbage. Like, I've never felt so aesthetically pleased as I am being pleased by Fear the Walking Dead. World Beyond is kind of somewhere in between the two, where I do think it looks better than the main show, but it doesn't look as good as Fear. And the way I kind of judge which one I think looks the best is by how hard it is for me to find cool looking thumbnails for my videos, because if you don't know, the way I pick out thumbnails for my reviews is essentially pick out a shot from the episode that I think represents it really well. And boy do I love the shot that I picked for, as the thumbnail for this video. The shot of Alicia looking at the group. Like, that is such a fucking cool shot. I really love it. I really do. It's a great shot. But like, it's so hard for me to find shots for the thumbnails for like the main show. World Beyond was a little easier, but even that one was kind of not as good as Fear, like I said. So visually, I love this episode. Again, at first, I was a little confused about where we were going to be going with this story, but based on the fact of what the formula has been for the season, we essentially got a character that represents what the issue that our character that the episode focuses on is dealing with, and they both kind of go through the development only for that character to die. That's what happened in episode 1 with Will. That's what happened in episode 2 with the couple that was affected by radiation, who lost their baby. What was episode 3? Oh, it was John Dory Sr. I guess in that one we didn't really have that kind of formula, because we didn't really meet anybody who we had to kill or who went through similar experiences or whatever, so that one kind of broke the mold. But we very much went through the same kind of formula with episode 4, episode 5 as well. What was episode 6? Oh, it was Althea, so that one also kind of broke the mold. Episode 7 was the Tower, which again broke the mold because it wasn't an episode with characters who mirrored their storylines. And then episode 8 also wasn't that. So yeah, we've definitely had a formula for this season, but so far only essentially about half of the episode follow it. Like episode 1, episode 2, episode 4, episode 5, episode 9, and episode 10 seem to be following that formula. And I don't think episode 11 is going to be following it either, so I definitely think people are going to love that one, especially because it's going to be focusing on Daniel. I'm definitely excited for that one. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but I guess I have a lot to say about this episode. But yeah, I liked Paul. He was an entertaining character. It is really kind of annoying how so many of these one-off characters are so much more interesting compared to some of our characters that are part of our main cast. And it is really making me think about the fact that maybe these showrunners should have been given Tales of the Walking Dead. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea because I feel like people are gonna not like the fact that they would be running that show, but considering how many of these one-off characters I've really enjoyed, and how we've essentially had the anthology format of Tales of the Walking Dead for the last 2 seasons, like, I really think they would do it really well, you know? Because, like, Will is straight up one of my favorite characters in the Walking Dead universe. I really enjoyed him. Mickey, not like my favorite character or anything, but she was definitely an enjoyable and fun character, and I liked her. Josiah, he was a really cool character as well. And in this episode, Paul, while definitely, again, not necessarily as entertaining as Josiah or Will, I liked him. And I liked his gimmick. So I'm kind of, because of that, a little worried that I'm actually not going to enjoy the actual anthology series in the Walking Dead universe as much as I enjoyed the anthology format of Fear the Walking Dead. There's that worry in my head. Because, yeah, I don't know how these showrunners managed to do it, but they really managed to do really entertaining one-off characters. And I really hope Tales of the Walking Dead also manages to do that. But I'm worried that it won't. And that would be very, very sad. That's what I'm saying, that they should have been the one who would be doing Tales of the Walking Dead, because it seems like they're much better at that than actually doing like a normal show. But yeah, I liked Paul. I at first was confused about what he's supposed to represent in relation to Alicia, but they kind of a little contrived. They made the connection between the two a little contrived, but it overall made sense. I don't really have too much to say about that, but I did enjoy his I did enjoy his character. I did enjoy his gimmick, and I like that he kind of very much was like Death, like Connie, or more so like Kelly, but they still managed to make him unique in the sense that he didn't do sign language, but instead could read lips. And yeah, I enjoyed that. And boy, did I love his death. I really, really loved that death. It was so emotional for me for many reasons, because I enjoyed him as a character. He was a nice guy who helped Alicia. But I also enjoyed because the actor really acted out that death scene really well. Like, just seeing the shot of his crying eye really made me feel very sad about it. And then him playing the Ode to Joy. Like, not only is that a unique soundtrack for a death, it's memorable, but also as somebody who is from Europe and who is even like a EU federalist, like I want to see a federation in Europe comprising of the EU member states, which my country is part of. I loved hearing the EU anthem, you know? I really, really love that. It's just a really nice and really beautifully made scene. That's why I do not agree with anybody who tries to tell me that this is bad. Could it be boring? Yeah, that is very much subjective. Not everybody's gonna enjoy what this episode is about. Is it annoying that it's not continuing the story, but it's kind of sidetracking? Yeah, I can agree with that. But is it a good episode or a well-made episode? Yes. Yes, it is. And I don't want to hear anybody say otherwise. If you say otherwise, like I said, you have, in my opinion, no right to criticize the badness of something without talking about the goodness of it. that's how I strive to review shows, and I feel like that's the right way to do it. You can certainly go with like a negative outlook and focus on the negatives, but still praise the positives, or you can mention the negatives but still try to focus on the positives, even if it's like something that is bad. But you have to acknowledge both, and I feel like a lot of people on the subreddit just don't want to do that. And no matter how much, the annoying thing is that no matter how many people I see just spew stupid shit and hate on the show blindly, I just keep checking for some reason. I guess I'm a masochist like that. I don't know. But yeah, I did at the end enjoy what the character development ended up being for Alicia, where she, like, the way she says it is that because she has had so many strong voices around her, like Nick or Strand or Madison or Morgan or whoever it may be, she never was really able to hear her own voice and grow to be as big of a and as big and as impactful of a leader as those other people. But now that she's essentially kind of all alone, she's actually able to be the leader she's supposed to be. Like, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I really like the way they said it, essentially. It definitely made sense in my mind. Although I definitely would have liked if that was something that was established that she was having an issue with, because it really didn't seem like it. Like, either that or maybe they made the fever that she's suffering from have come from that. I know that that would be kind of nonsensical in a relatively grounded world of The Walking Dead, because that wouldn't make any sense. But I would have liked if she was feeling like super stressed and didn't trust herself to save those people, and that was essentially making her sickness, or whatever you want to call it, worse. I definitely think that would have added weight to the episode and at least made it feel more like the part of the story instead of just a filler episode, which essentially is what episode 9 and 10 are at the end of the day. Although both of the episodes definitely have some impactful stuff, so I don't know, like that's why I just cannot agree that these episodes are bad, because at the worst, they still manage to impact me in some way. Like, sure, I was half scrolling through Reddit as I was watching the episode, as I assume most people were, but it just, like, those things still hit me. Paul's death at the end of the episode still hit me. And yeah, I have a certain thing that I want to talk about that I am yet to mention in regards to this episode, like a certain prediction or a speculation, which wouldn't make any sense, but it just kind of came to me as I was watching the episode. But I'm pretty sure it's one of the notes that I wrote down, so I'm gonna mention it once we read through the notes, which is what we're gonna be doing now. So yeah, first thing I wrote about this episode is, man, I love how good Fear the Walking Dead looks. And we already went through that. I love the look of Fear the Walking Dead, especially this season. In my opinion, Fear the Walking Dead, even from the beginning, has done a much better job of shooting on digital. Because it never felt like it was struggling, like it never felt like it was screwing over the show. Whereas for the main show, I mean, in my opinion, it was never aesthetically pleasing. I like the aesthetic of the film grain, like that definitely added to the atmosphere of the show. But it never really added to the aesthetic, I guess, or necessarily for the visuals to look pretty. In the way Fear the Walking Dead right now looks pretty. It never added to that. And now that we're on digital for the main show, I mean, it's just felt cheap. It's just felt cheap. Like, back with the film grain, no matter what, it still, like, felt like kind of post-apocalyptic. Like, it added to the atmosphere. It was part of the atmosphere. But now that we're on digital, it just looks fake for some reason. Or should I say not fake, cheap. It looks cheap to me. But Fear the Walking Dead has done the digital stuff much better. Hell, World Beyond did it much better. I think one of the reasons why it doesn't work as well for the main show is because we already had the established vibe of the show, so when you switch to digital, it kind of ruined that. But yeah, I don't know. I just love how good Fear the Walking Dead looks. That's kind of the ultimate point. Next thing I've written is he actually deaf? The actor, I mean. I didn't expect to enjoy deaf representation as much as I do. And yeah, it turns out the actor is actually deaf. And I do like that we're again exploring the consequences of the nuke with all the different people and the way they've suffered. Like, again, that is another reason why I just cannot agree that people say that this is bad. I feel like a lot of people are not actually appreciating this. It generally comes off to me as people are just complaining about it because it's not the first 3 seasons, or because it's not all out boom boom pow pow kind of stuff. You know, it's not all out action, but it's much more introspective and dialogue focused. I don't know, I really enjoy this. I don't know. But yeah, that is another reason why I think you cannot call the show bad, because it's actually exploring the consequences of this nuke to all different people that were living around the area and how they're dealing with it. Like, this guy was already going deaf, but because of the nuclear bomb, he has gone completely deaf, and now he has to rely on reading lips. And yeah, I genuinely did not expect that I would actually enjoy deaf representation as much. Like, I don't know why, but it's fun seeing deaf people actually being able to survive in this. I don't know, it's just cool. Like, it is kind of like a gimmick, I guess, but it is cool. And I like I said, that this is a different kind of death, or it's different enough of an execution of the concept of a deaf character in the zombie apocalypse compared to the main show. I like it. And it seems like a lot of people have also loved Paul, because the actor seems to have gotten a lot of love on Twitter, so there's that. And yeah, the next thing written is, I love the cinematography, man. And I already covered it. It looks fucking amazing. I'm excited to see where we're gonna go with the cinematography this season. It's always weird how much more lively Fear the Walking Dead is compared to both The Walking Dead and World Beyond. And yeah, this is something that I've started to realize recently, when even looking back to the early days of Fear the Walking Dead. It's I feel like when you're doing a zombie apocalypse, or just a post-apocalyptic story in general, you have kind of 2 ways of doing it. Like, wasteland, almost no people, or I don't know, kinda returning just 200 years in the past, or maybe even more, where people are still surviving, and there's markets, and there's still people living around here and there. Because in the main show, even in the first season, we barely meet any people that are still alive. We barely meet anybody. It feels like everybody's already dead. In comparison, in Fear the Walking Dead, even 7 seasons in, we still have random survivors everywhere. And even back in season 3, which canonically happens during the same time period as season 1 of the main show, we have the bazaar, which is a market in the post-apocalypse. It's just so weird how much more lively the zombie apocalypse is shown in Fear the Walking Dead compared to both The Walking Dead and even World Beyond. We barely even met anybody in World Beyond as well. I don't know. Maybe that just is because of the locations where the shows are set, because The Walking Dead and World Beyond are pretty much set in north or northwestern, northeastern USA, while Fear the Walking Dead is set in southeast USA and Mexico. So maybe it's just because of the locations, but it's just been so weird. And I don't know, I kind of like both. Like, one definitely makes for a bleaker world, sure. I do like how dead the world is in the main show and World Beyond, but it's also much more fun to actually have people and some semblance of society with like marketplaces surviving in the post-apocalypse, because that is the kind of like post-apocalyptic worlds that I think games like Fallout have done, and it is kind of cool, you know. I like that. I really do. And sure, we also still gotta remember that Fear the Walking Dead, timeline-wise, is about 3 years in right now. So it's still in the early days compared to the main show and World Beyond, which are 10 years in. But again, if you go back 3 years in The Walking Dead, that brings us back to like season 8. Or should I say season 9. The first 5 episodes. And there was still barely any people that we actually met, so yeah, I don't know. Next thing I've written is, hell yeah, maestro. And I'm not sure exactly in relation to what I wrote that. I think it might be in relation to when Paul shot Arno in the arm, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it might be based on what I wrote afterwards, which is you're reading too much into it, Alicia, which is in relation to when Alicia explains that after she got bit and she was dreaming and she was unconscious down in the bunker, she had a dream about the walker leading her to Padre or whatever, and she's trying to figure out what that dream means, and she was trying to like explain it to herself, but it's just a fucking dream based on the things you experienced right before that. You got bit by a zombie, of course you're gonna dream about it. You learned about this safe place where you could take everybody, and of course you're gonna dream about it. Like, it's not fucking rocket science. Of course, things that have influenced you greatly right before you fell asleep are gonna show up in your dreams. Happens to me all the time. The next thing I've written is, he's so gonna die by the end of the episode, and sadly I was correct. Although it's interesting that I wrote that down and I predicted it, not because of the fact that this is still using the same formula as a lot of the episodes this season, but just because it just felt like he was going to, because we already have a huge cast of characters and we cannot bring more onto the goddamn submarine. Although weirdly enough, that's kind of the plot right now, getting people so we can fight Strand. Yeah. Next thing I've written is, this is just a better version of Alicia's episode from last season, which I wasn't a big fan of at all. I wrecked it to shreds. Like, that's the one episode from these 2 seasons that I genuinely agree is fucking garbage. And you know why? Because it focused on a completely random character for too much of the episode. Because they literally gave that guy, who is, by the way, the most boring guy I've ever seen in the zombie apocalypse, like 3 or 4 monologues. I just couldn't pay attention. It was just so fucking boring and uninteresting, and it didn't develop Dakota or Alicia's characters or Charlie's character in any way. The most entertaining parts of the episode were the beginning and the end, literally. So in a way, this is actually a better execution of that, because again we have an episode where we meet, where Alicia meets this guy who is supposed to develop her character, but this guy was more likable, he was more entertaining, he did more of an entertaining performance, so yeah, it was literally just a better version of that, because that episode also kind of was a little bit of like a bottle episode last season. Next thing I've written is Chekhov's bagpipe, which is in relation to the fact in the beginning of the episode Alicia talked about the bagpipe, and then they ended up using it at the end of the episode where uh, where Paul was using it to drown out the sound so Alicia can escape. And yeah, this again in relation to the next thing I've written in, which is EU Anthem, which is what Paul was playing as he was dying. A beautiful death. And yeah, now I want to talk about the next thing I've written. Could it be that Alicia is pregnant? Now think about that. Maybe you're asking, where the hell did that come from in my mind? But can you explain to me what the fuck was the girl in this episode that Alicia imagined being saved by? Like, who's that girl? Who's that supposed to be? Because even in the shot where we see the whole group standing behind Alicia as their leader, there is still the girl standing behind one of them. And it could be Baby Mo. It certainly could be. But why would that be what Alicia is dreaming about? She doesn't even know the baby. She has no relation to the baby. She doesn't even know it's alive, probably, still. So why would she give a shit? That's why it makes me think that it's gotta be a baby that she's pregnant with. That would explain, in my opinion, the sickness. I mean, maybe not necessarily, because I don't think when you're pregnant you fucking sweat like a pig all the time. But I don't know, that would kind of explain it at least a little bit. And I just otherwise don't understand what's with the girl, because the episode doesn't really explain it to us. So I still do not get it. Maybe if you guys have some speculation about what that girl is, comment them down below, because that is the best I can come up with. And that's kind of the thing that popped up in my head. We don't really have much of a basis for that prediction, but yeah, I don't know. It could be cool if that's the case, but then when would Alicia have had sex with Will? Because they met, they had some issues with Teddy's people, then Alicia got bit, and she was unconscious, and then she sent Will out. So they didn't really have time to have sex. Mo, because I think the kid looks black based on the hair. But again, she doesn't even know the baby. So why would that be what she's dreaming? I don't get it. I don't know. And the final thing that I've written is, now, after Dead in the Water, we get more from that set. Because in one of the final scenes of the episode, we get a scene which is set in the dining room in the submarine. A set that we weren't shown before, if I remember correctly. But we saw that set in Dead in the Water, and now we see it here. So I wonder if they built it between the two. That is probably the case. And yeah, it is kind of cool seeing this set being used by completely different characters from the ones that we saw in Dead in the Water. Like, it is kind of really cool. I really wish The Walking Dead, hopefully in Tales of the Walking Dead, we get to do something like that. Like, I don't know, maybe after all these years, a different group of people have decided to clean the prison and have taken it for themselves. Or the farm has been rebuilt by some other people. Like, just seeing what has happened with certain locations after all these years. It's kind of reminiscent of what we get with, like, Red Machete, the webisode series, where we see where the Red Machete came from as it got into Rick's hands and then was taken away by the Saviors, and then it went to a bunch of other people. Like, we get to see that whole story, and that is essentially what we get to see with the submarine, where we have the actual people who worked on the submarine in Dead in the Water, and now we have Morgan and co. living in the submarine and being in those locations. Like, it is really, really cool. But yeah, overall, a little bit of a boring episode, but it was still decently enjoyable for me. It definitely was the better of the two. And the thing is, the more I'm thinking about them, the more I actually enjoy them. Sure, it wasn't the most exciting episode, but it wasn't bad by any means. If you think this is bad, you haven't watched bad TV. Go and fucking watch Doctor Who in the last 3 seasons if you think Fear the Walking Dead is bad. I dare you. But yeah, in terms of a rating, I think I'm going to go with an 8.4 out of 10. Like, it genuinely was really entertaining to me. Like, the thing is, I have much more gripes with the final season of the main show than I had with any episodes of Fear the Walking Dead Season 7. Like, I think I just strive more for consistency above all else, you know? It could be a 6 out of 10, but as long as it's a consistent 6 out of 10, it's fine by me. But if it flip-flops between a 5 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10, like a lot of stuff in the final season of the main show does, it is much more annoying. And I feel like at the very least, Fear the Walking Dead, preferably it would have been great if they could actually focus on all the characters in all the episodes and not have to have each episode be for a different character. But at least they're focusing on different characters and not just on the main 4 or 5 like the main show has done. Because in my opinion, I think for the final season of that show, especially because a lot of that cast we're probably never gonna see again, I think every cast member, every character that is major enough or I guess main or supporting character, should have gotten their own episode which finishes out their story arc in some way, shape or form. Like characters like Kelly, Connie, Magna, Yumiko, Princess. Hell, go as far back as characters like Cow or Diane. Like, all those characters should have gotten an episode in some way, shape or form. But no, we gotta focus on Maggie and Negan for like the whole fucking season, despite the fact that both of them are gonna be in a spin-off together. And same for Daryl and Carol. Although less so because Carol hasn't really gotten to do too much this season. But no, we had to waste time with Daryl and Leah and Negan and Maggie. And like, for crying out loud, Alden died. And he was a decently major character in season 10. But he was gone for like 5 episodes before he died. That was the dumbest way they could have done it. And they haven't even mentioned who is taking care of his kid now. That's how little they give a shit for this final season. And I don't know why. Angela Kang did fine in season 9. Hell, it's debatably the best season. I really personally enjoy it, but yeah, I don't know. I'm getting a little sidetracked. I really went on a lot of rants in this video. Hopefully it was still entertaining to you guys, but I feel like it ended up being more about gripes that I have with the Walking Dead universe and its fandom more than a review of episode 9 of season 7 of Fear the Walking Dead. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's not much to talk about in relation to the specific plot points of this episode or like the events of the episode, but yeah. Oh, almost forgot. We actually got to see the location where the nuke fell, like the crater, and it looked pretty cool. It looked very reminiscent of the quarry in season 6 of the main show. I really liked seeing that. Although, wouldn't those people be dead essentially at this point? Like Arno and co, like seeing the quarry? Because we had those characters in episode 2 of this season who got very close to the center of where the nuke fell and got super sick. So I expect that Arno is probably gonna die from that. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? Anyway, what did you guys think about this episode? Comment your thoughts down below and let's have a discussion about it. And also, before we end this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to my currently 1 patron on Patreon, Deadpool. Thank you for your support, I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me that you have decided to support me, you have continued to support me for such a long time. I hope you continue to enjoy my content and continue to support me going forward. Thank you very much. And now, before we end this video, I just want to talk about something to you guys very quickly, which some of you may or may have not noticed before or know about me.
That being the fact that I am trans. And yes, this may come as shocking to some of you because I don't really flaunt it that much on my channel, or at least I feel like I don't. Outside of like my K-pop reactions, which is where I feel like the most comfortable being myself like this. And yeah, I am in fact trans. I'm not necessarily full-on male to female, but I heavily want to transition to being pretty female. I do consider myself more non-binary though, or maybe gender fluid would be the best descriptor as well, because I do have occasional moments where I feel fine being like just a normal guy, but most of the time, like right now, I do feel very dysphoric. And that's why I'm asking you guys for any help that you can give me, because my situation right now, I don't really see any way outside of you guys' help. Because, and this is gonna be kept short and concise, I live with my parents. They're never going to accept me as a trans person. They just never will. And as a matter of fact, back when I started the YouTube channel, I was actually kind of slightly starting my transition back then, with like starting to grow out my hair. I even got to DIY HRT, but because my parents started noticing certain things, like my behavior had changed a lot and my clothes had changed a lot, I kind of had to stop doing that because they were constantly nagging me about cutting my hair and just started to kind of be threatening in a certain way, and felt like they were ashamed of me and everything. And that just kind of stress just tired me out to the point where I just gave up. But as dysphoria goes, it just doesn't go away, you know. I still feel like this, and in fact it's somewhat been intensifying again recently, so I just wanted to share this with you guys. And again, I would really appreciate any amount of support you can give me in regards to this, because I just don't see any way out of this. Because even if I moved out of my parents' house and got myself a job and everything, that's just not gonna work for long-term planning, because once I transition, it's like I probably will not be able to get myself a job, because my country is very transphobic. Nobody gives a shit about LGBT people at all. So there's not even much I can do even in terms of transitioning here. So yeah, I don't know. I just would appreciate any amount of support you can give me, be it monetarily or in any way otherwise. And this is not about boosting my channel or anything, or guilt tripping you with my sob story. I just wanted to get this off my chest and make my subscribers aware of the situation that I am in, and that I would appreciate anything that you guys can help me out with. It would mean literally everything. Like, for example, a friend that I made after starting this YouTube channel, my good friend Yuri, has been helping me out a lot. And I genuinely might have not been here if it wasn't for him showing up and befriending me. So yeah, this just went a little bit longer than I intended, but I would just really appreciate anything you can support me with. That's kind of ultimately what I'm trying to say.
And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe. Also, check out the links in the description to my Twitter if you don't follow me over there, and to my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you enjoy my stories or simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi account, where I can pledge your support and help get the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing stories you enjoy. But if you don't want to do it, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think this is pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!